Okay, so let's dig into this. The news about China launching its blue whale, uncrewed submersible, well, it's definitely making waves.
It is. And it's got this dual nature right from the start, hasn't it?
Exactly. They're presenting it as this big step forward for civilian maritime research, specifically looking at typhoons.
Which is a valid scientific goal, absolutely.
But then there's the other side. The potential military angle is, well, hard to ignore, especially given everything else happening globally.
And you, our listener, pointed us towards some really solid reporting on this Xinhua, the Science and Technology Daily, and especially the Eurasian Times piece.
Right. So that's our mission for this deep dive. Let's try to get a clear picture of what this blue whale actually is, what its capabilities are, what China says it's for.
And why it's raising these security questions. Understand the tech, the claims, and the underlying concerns.
Precisely. To avoid getting lost in the noise and focus on the key takeaways.
So this duality we mentioned, it's technology that could genuinely help us understand things like typhoons better. That's valuable.
No question. But the same features that make it good for that.
They also make it potentially very useful for, let's say, less transparent activities.
Right. So the specifics. It was unveiled April 28th down in Zhuhai.
And the timeline's interesting. Construction only started, June last year? Aiming for operational status by 2026. Seems quite fast.
It does. China's calling it a big advancement, a significant achievement. Standard stuff, maybe, but let's look at the hardware.
Okay, it's about 11 meters long, 12 tons. Not tiny.
And here's the kicker. It operates both as a high-speed surface ship and an underwater vehicle.
That's the really notable part, technologically speaking. Usually you optimize for one or the other, surface speed or underwater stealth and maneuverability.
This tries to do both. How fast are we talking on the surface?
Up to 36 knots, that's pretty quick. Comparable to a warship or even some torpedoes, you can get places fast.
Okay, so it zips across the surface, then what?
Then it can dive, down to 60 meters, and it can stay submerged for up to 30 days.
30 days underwater. That's significant endurance.
It really is. That allows for extended missions, whatever those missions might be.
And they also claim it can operate in extreme weather, like a Category 12 typhoon.
Apparently so. Winds over 130 km/h, which ties into their main stated purpose, typhoon research.
Right, the civilian applications, they're saying the AI system is key here.
Yes, the claim is it triples operational efficiency in those kinds of dangerous conditions compared to trying to control it manually.
So the AI handles route planning, deploying sensors. They mentioned rocket-powered meteorological sensors.
Right, deploying them right into the storm autonomously. The chief engineer, Wu Gusong, specifically highlighted that efficiency gain.
So the AI isn't just hype, it's central to the concept for these challenging tasks.
It seems so. It allows operations in conditions you just wouldn't send people or even manually controlled systems into, minimizes risk, maximizes data collection, potentially.
And it's not just weather sensors, is it? The payload capacity sounds quite large.
Yeah, they say can carry over 20 different types of payloads. So weather gear, yes, but also systems for underwater mapping, photography, taking water samples.
Inspecting things like undersea cables and pipelines, too. That's critical infrastructure.
Exactly, and it's got a modular design.
Meaning they can swap out equipment easily for different jobs.
Precisely. Makes it very versatile. They gave that example of mapping 3,000 square kilometers in the South China Sea in just 15 days.
Which they claim is 5 times faster than usual methods.
Shows advanced sonar and navigation, definitely. Plus, it's apparently fitted for ecological monitoring too, bioacoustic detectors, cameras, water quality sensors.
Tracking fish, checking coral reefs, red tides. Like a mobile app.
It paints a picture of a very capable, multi-purpose scientific platform. That modularity and mapping speed are genuinely impressive from a civilian research standpoint.
But it's a big but, isn't it? This is where the skepticism comes in, as highlighted in that Eurasian Times piece.
Understandably so. China's neighbors, other global players, they look at these capabilities and see, well, other possibilities.
Military possibilities.
Yeah.
Laying mines, maybe. Underwater surveillance. Anti-submarine warfare.
Those are standard military applications for uncrewed underwater vehicles, yes. And this isn't happening in a vacuum.
We've seen reports before, haven't we? Suspected Chinese UUVs recovered by the Philippines, by Indonesia.
That's right. There was one in January marked HY-119 found in the Philippines. So there's a pattern, or at least a perception of one.
And the accusation that China uses supposedly civilian ships, research vessels even, for military intelligence gathering keeps popping up.
It does. It feeds the skepticism about dual-use platforms like this.
Let's talk mines for a second. The PLA Navy is known to have a huge stockpile, right?
Estimates vary, but yeah, tens of thousands, maybe up to 100,000 mines of many different types.
And mines are sometimes called an assassin's mace because they're less visible than, say, a submarine.
Exactly. Harder to detect, potentially very effective, especially in shallower waters or choke points where big submarines might struggle or be more easily tracked.
So a large, long-endurance UUV like the blue whale
Could potentially be a very effective platform for deploying those mines covertly, especially if it's designed for stealth.
And UUVs generally have stealth advantages anyway, don't they? Smaller, quieter than submarines.
Typically, yes. Harder to pick up on sonar, harder to track with fixed undersea sensor networks.
It's interesting, too, that even the Science and Technology Daily, a Chinese source, mentioned its potential role in defense of maritime rights.
Right, alongside the resource development and exploration talk. That phrasing, it leaves room for interpretation, doesn't it? It adds to the ambiguity.
It certainly fuels the concerns internationally.
Absolutely.
Let's circle back to the tech itself for a moment. We mentioned the AI. What about propulsion?
That's another interesting dual aspect. It apparently uses silent magnetic fluid drives for quiet running.
Stealthy underwater movement.
Right, and then fast water jets for that high-speed surface transit we talked about.
So it can switch between speed and stealth depending on the need?
Seems to be the idea, and they also mentioned special coatings.
For noise reduction.
Yes, designed to reduce its acoustic signature down to the level of ambient ocean noise. That's crucial for effective hydroacoustic monitoring.
And for not being detected if you're doing something clandestine.
Precisely. Combine that with the AI, the dual propulsion, the modular payloads. It's a sophisticated package.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
The level of tech integration seems very high. That AI for long, independent missions, the propulsion flexibility, the focus on noise reduction.
And the modularity means it can be adapted fairly easily. It's not just a one-trick pony.
So, okay, let's try to synthesize this.
Right.
We have this very capable UUV, fast, long endurance, versatile, packed with AI and stealth features.
Check.
China presents it as a tool for vital civilian science, like understanding typhoons. A laudable goal. However, its core capabilities have obvious military applications. Surveillance, mine warfare, potentially more.
Undeniably. The overlap is significant.
And given the current geopolitical climate, especially in the South China Sea, the concerns from other countries aren't just theoretical, they're rooted in observable trends and existing tensions.
That seems a fair assessment. The blue whale represents a real jump in China's maritime tech, but it also complicates an already complex maritime security picture. Distinguishing research from potential military activity with these advanced autonomous systems is getting harder.
Now, for you listening, particularly those preparing for the UPSC exams, this whole development is highly relevant. Think about the syllabus areas it touches.
Definitely international relations, the strategic competition in the Indo-Pacific is right there.
Defense technology. This is a prime example of cutting-edge naval tech and how it shifts power dynamics.
Maritime security absolutely central, especially regarding the South China Sea disputes and freedom of navigation.
And, maybe most importantly, that concept of dual-use technology. Innovations with both peaceful and military potential. Understanding that ambiguity is key.
It really is. Which leads to a question perhaps worth pondering for your preparation.
Go ahead.
How does the rise of these sophisticated autonomous underwater systems like the blue whale fundamentally change the strategic game in maritime security? What does it mean for things like international law, for governing the oceans, when these highly capable, often unseen platforms become more common?
That's a big question. Lots to unpack there with no easy answers. A really crucial point to reflect on.
Indeed.
Well, if this deep dive into the blue whale helped clarify things for you or gave you food for thought for your UPSC prep or just your understanding of global tech and security, please do give us a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and feel free to comment with your own questions or takes on this.
And just to reiterate, a key source we drew on heavily for this discussion was the reporting by the Eurasian Times. We definitely recommend checking out their original articles if you want to go even deeper.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.